I just got through watching a video. It was about tipping being out of control. This gal ordered a pizza, just like one pizza, probably less than $20. But let's say that it cost $20. The guy, comes to the door, and she gives him cash, and she gave him $5. The guy goes, "Well, this is sure a nice house for a $5 tip." Excuse me? Now, I wouldn't do this, but, well, it depends on what mood I was in. If it's a $20, let's say it's $20 pizza, $5, that's 25% tip. That's an awesome tip. 25%? What's wrong with that? But this twerp, it's like, it was a nice house for a $5 tip. And I would, like I said, I wouldn't do this, but I would be very tempted to go tackle his ass and take my $5 back. Fine. You don't think that's a good tip? Then fine, I'll just keep it. The sense of entitlement that some people have, I was trying to think of a different word, but the sense of entitlement, it's like that old, I remember I had a record when I was growing up. It was a Disney record, which I'm not too enthralled with them right now. But it's the Grasshopper and the Ants. And it starts off with the grasshopper singing, "Well, the world knows me a-livin'. The world knows me a-livin'." And that is the attitude of some people, especially people with no shame and no conscience. Some people just don't have a conscience. Those of you who've been following me are very familiar with Jeff. Channel used to be You Back Tube Jeff. Now it's something Adventures in My Ass or whatever it is. He has no conscience. I mean, the guy is a scamming machine. And I feel the same way about Chris and Holly. They have no conscience. You have old people on a fixed income saying, "I want to be able to send you money, but I'm saving it for this, but instead I'm giving it to you." Now if it was me, like one lady that sent them $2,000 for gravel that they already had coming and didn't tell her. Scam. She said she was saving up to fix her car. Instead, she sent the money to them. If somebody had messaged me and said, "I'm going to send you $2,000 that I originally was going to use to fix my car." Sorry, Val, all of a sudden, man, I got the hiccups. Man, I've been doing that lately. I don't know what the deal is. But if somebody said, "I'm going to send you $2,000, and take the money that I was saving up to fix my car," I'd tell her, "No, keep it. Fix your car. If you have needs, keep your money. I mean, unless it's like a life and death situation where it's like someone was threatening to shoot me unless I gave him $2,000, then I'd probably go, "Yeah, I said it." But no, but to me, it's like there's no way I would have just an extremely hard time accepting money from someone who needed it more than me. But some people have no problem with that. Jeff was one of them. And I believe Chris and Holly are the same. The more information I find out about them, the more they disgust me. The more I don't even know what words to use, honest with you. They disgust me. They make me sick. They make me want to hurl. They're people without a conscience. They really are. I just do not understand how, if you have any moral values at all, why are you sending them money? Why are you supporting their lifestyle? Why are you letting them just get by and coast, make no effort other than the BS they put on their videos to make it look like they're actually trying to do something, which people who know them in real life know better and tell on them. People in real life, their own family basically won't have anything to do with them and have filed court documents against them. Basically, because of Elian. Holly has had 4 different cases. Someone said she has a warrant on her out of Virginia Beach right now for child support issues that she hasn't paid. She owes back child support. People, she does not care about anybody but herself. That's been a constant. Of everything that I have read, that's been a constant. So anyway, today I want to read you some statements. And keep in mind, these statements are by relatives, either relatives or ex-relatives, people who know her well. People, I'm just saying, I know sometimes I can be kind of a butthead when I get fired up, but honestly, I think you're doing them a disservice by donating to them. I know that you mean well. I know that. I know that the people, they just want to help. I understand that. I understand that there's people who are just giving by nature. And nothing wrong with that. But I think it becomes wrong when you give to the wrong cause. When you're funding their lifestyle, when you're funding laziness, when you're funding them so they don't have to take responsibility for their own lives. I think, like I said in my last video, I think you're hurting them more than you're helping them. You might be helping them temporarily, but you are creating a monster. You're creating an entitled monster. Because now they expect things. And they don't take care of anything that you send them. Which shows how much they appreciate it. I tell you what, if I sent them stuff and I saw something laying around, trashed, there'd be hell freeze over before I'd send them anything else. People keep babying them. You can't. You know what? And like I said, if you just keep on funding them, keep on sending them money, they are never going to grow up They're never going to support themselves. They keep saying, we're doing this, and they're not doing jack. People, it's been 5 years, over 5 years. What do you have to show for your investment? What do you have to show for it? Nothing. Anyway, I want to read you some statements. And like I said, keep in mind, these statements are from people who know them directly, either relatives or ex-relatives, who have actually gone after her in court because they were in fear for her children and the way she was treating them and neglecting them. And so they're trying to get something done because they're afraid something's going to happen. Now, the only one that she has now is Elian, who wasn't alive when these statements were made, but it just shows that there's a constant pattern with Holly, constant pattern throughout. All right, so let's get into them. Okay, let me... For some reason, my eyes are so blurry today, so I've got to increase the font here so I can read it. All right, first person says, she never raised her daughter. Her father did. Only child not taken has been Elian. That's because they move all the time. Holly has many fake accounts and even asked her subs once to make them so they could like their channel. In other words, she asked, I saw this in three other people saying the same thing. She asked her subs to make multiple accounts, throwaway accounts, so she could get more likes on their channel. And Holly's created a bunch too, is what a few people have said. That she's created a bunch that she uses. I noticed that people have said a lot of the comments look very generic and look a lot the same. Well, that's why. Yeah, a lot of those people are fake. I know Holly has come into my comments under several different names, but it's obvious that it's her. And you got a lot of people that have dealt with her for 5 years that they recognize her immediately. Well, why are you worried about me if you got nothing to hide, Chris and Holly? What are you worried about me if you got nothing to hide? You wouldn't even pay any attention to me if you didn't have something to hide, would you? Yeah. It's because you do have something to hide. That's why I make you nervous. And you better be nervous. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this yet or not, but I had 4 thumbs down on the video yesterday. I'm going to give you a pass on one of them because I know that one is Jeff, because he does one on all my videos. You're such a petty little bitch, aren't you, Jeff? You're such a petty little bitch. Petty little bitch. I'm in your head, dude. I'm in your head. Otherwise, you wouldn't even look at my videos. But I'm in your head. I'm probably in Chris and Holly's head now, too. But see, I'm not doing this to be a jerk. I'm doing it because I don't like scammers. I have no respect for people who want to sponge off other people for a living. That's why I'm doing it. It's not a personal vendetta, but I don't like scammers. I don't like the danger you put your child in. And so I'm exposing you. Anyway, the person said Holly asked for subs to make them so they can like their channel. Of course, make comments as well, I'm sure. I just think these scum people need removed. Hardworking people giving them their money is sick. We come home to TV dinners while they eat at good restaurants. I even saw them get money from people on fixed incomes. Well, yeah, I have too. I hope you bring them down. They have taken advantage of enough people. All right. Now, that one was not a relative. I forgot that I had stuck this one at the beginning. That one was not a relative. All right. Now, this one is. Says, I was present one night when her daughter went into the bathroom, picked up the razor Holly shaves her legs with. Her daughter put it in her mouth and cut her tongue. Her boyfriend told her to keep things like that out of reach of the kids. Holly got offended and started an argument, which it seems like any time she's cross, she starts an argument. That's why it's always good to have duct tape on hand. The worst I have witnessed Holly do was light a candle for her son, place it on a plastic table alongside the bed. The candle was not in a holder. Jeez. Here's your sign. It was placed directly on the table. The candle burned down and set the table on fire. Keep in mind, this is a plastic table. Her son woke up screaming his lungs out about a fire in the room. Yeah, you think? This could have been a total disaster for everyone in the apartment. The toxic fumes from the plastic were almost enough to suffocate everyone until the place was aired out. Talk about lack of common sense. My word. You put something with fire on a plastic table with not even a holder? Like I said, here's your sign. Holy crap. All right. Next person says, I'm concerned for the minor children involved with Holly. She is to be the responsible adult caring for children, and she can't even care for herself. I've seen her child sleep on the floor while she stays at a girlfriend's house for several days, not checking on him, which is hard to understand. That's what you're supporting, people. This is the kind of person you're supporting. She continually wants attention any way she can get it. She drags her children from one bad situation to another. I am very concerned her children will be part of something terrible, witness something awful, or carry these battle scars forever. Yeah, it's not fair to the kids. Definitely. Next person says, I hung out with Holly for about a year. I was with her almost every day. During the time I spent with her, I witnessed acts of neglect. She let her children roam around public parking lots and the parking lot of her apartment and seldom pay any attention to them. Her boyfriend would come home to find the kids playing on the concrete and steel staircase without Holly or anyone else watching them. Her boyfriend would caution her about this, and Holly would create an argument over it. Imagine that. Her favorite saying was, "What's the big deal?" Holly used marijuana regularly in or away from her apartment. She bragged to me many times about using ecstasy. Another person says, I have known Holly and her ex for several years, and without him around, Holly's children might not have survived. The children were allowed to run and do as they pleased and were never supervised unless the boyfriend was present. It is not unusual to find the children playing in the apartment parking lot unattended. Cars were coming and going all the time, and druggies all around the place. That's one thing that I saw in a lot of the comments is these apartments where they lived was like, the projects. I mean, it was bad. I have witnessed Holly smoking marijuana in front of the children. At times, I have walked into the apartment and marijuana would be lying around all over the place and the house would be a mess. Her boyfriend was a good provider and worked hard and always had a job. Without him, I don't know how Holly would have fed the children. She seldom worked and just laid around the house all day doing almost nothing. Heard that one from 4 or 5 different people. Said the same thing. She just laid around, didn't do a thing except smoke pot. The house was always a mess with various things lying around that could cause harm to children. I never saw her feed the kids a cooked meal. She always opened a can or fed them candy or other junk food that they wanted. It didn't matter to her as long as they were not bothering her. And you want to give this person money to just be lazier. Give me a break. People are idiots that support them. Absolutely. I mean, do you not have any morals at all? Don't you understand the difference between right and wrong? Because if you're funding this lifestyle, you're part of it. It's like an accomplice in a crime. You're guilty of letting them live this way. Another person that says, and I think this is a direct relative here, or in-law, I have known Holly for about 3 years. She is the worst mother I have ever met. I have witnessed the kids begging her to feed them, and she would ignore them for a long time. She would be doing nothing but sitting around while the children were begging for food. Most of the time, I would have to offer to fix them something before she got up to do it. At times, she would just give them a bag of candy. My word. And that's like 3 or 4 people have heard that same thing from, too. She would put her daughter in a high chair and dump the food on the chair tray. Not even a plate. Talking about lazy. Often the kids would drop food on the floor and it stayed there until the boyfriend came home from work to clean it up. That's unexcusable or inexcusable or whatever. Ain't no excuse for it. Her daughter would have food all over her face and clothing, and it stayed there until the father came home to clean her up. Shame, Christmas. You see why I say I'm getting more disgusting the more I find out about these people? Holly would be sitting around smoking marijuana while the children were running through the rooms, doing as they pleased, jumping on furniture, climbing on the TV. There would be child safety hazards all over the place. I would mention this to Holly, but she just ignored me and would say, "Oh, it's okay." Her son would walk out the door and go play in the parking lot without anyone watching him. Holly very seldom noticed him being gone from the apartment unless I or someone else mentioned it to her. And then she just had that "I don't care" attitude. She might get up and go look, or at times she just ignored it. God. Lazy narcissist is what it sounds like to me. All right, another one. Says, I have been friends with John and Holly for approximately 3 years. During this time, Holly has proven a very irresponsible mother. First, I have witnessed Holly drink alcohol to the point of intoxication with the children present. Furthermore, she has smoked marijuana among her children numerous times. Her boyfriend would work at a steady job all the time while Holly sat at home and did nothing most of the time. She would only work at part-time jobs. I have never known her to have a full-time job. She had all the time she needed to keep a clean and orderly home, but it was always cluttered and filthy. She apparently had no desire to make the home safe and sanitary for the children. I think that's fairly obvious. The house was always dirty and messy. Food would be left out spoiling within reach of the children. This chaos in the home was also reflected in the children. The children were always dirty, as were their clothes, and they were usually without shoes. I have witnessed the children being allowed to stay up far beyond a child's normal bedtime. It was not unusual for one or both of the children to stay up until 1 or 2 a.m. Holly never put the children to bed most of the time. Wherever they fell asleep, that's where they stayed until they woke up in the morning. There's no excuse for that. I have stopped by many times and found them playing in the parking lot or playing on the staircase when with her boyfriend working and Holly upstairs in the apartment sitting around doing nothing but smoking pot. Yeah, this is the kind of person you're giving all this money to. People ought to be ashamed. Seriously, I mean that. I really do. You should be ashamed. Her boyfriend would come home and find this and get on Holly about it. And it would start an argument. Again, big surprise. Holly was never wrong about anything, according to her. Well, narcissists never are in the wrong. I was present one night when her daughter went into the bathroom and picked up the razor Holly shaves her legs with. She put it in her mouth and cut her tongue. The boyfriend told Holly to keep things like that out of reach of the kids. Holly got offended and started an argument. Again. Yeah, so shocked. The worst I have witnessed Holly do was light a candle for her son and place it on a plastic table. I already told that story. And they tell that same story, but then at the end they add this. Also, if a child predator wanted to capture a child, all one would have to do is follow Holly around. He or she could be long gone with the child before Holly even noticed it. Her lack of attention with these children at home or out in public is scary. So, these are our relatives that are concerned for Elion. They're also relatives that don't like the fact the way they're sponging off people on YouTube and just living a lazy, pathetic lifestyle that you guys, if you're their supporters, that you fund. This is what you're funding. This is the kind of person that you're funding. And there's a lot more. Again, we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg. But so I've got 2 more to do on yesterday's thumbs down. We'll see how many I get today. And believe me, I've got enough dirt that I can keep going for a long, long time. So, like I said, if that's the game you want to play, shall we play a game? Tune in tomorrow. I'm going to have another one.